The day my husband threw me out of our home was the same day I inherited $7 million. I arrived home smiling through tears after leaving my grandmother Eleanor's attorney. She had passed away only days earlier and left me her Aspen estate along with a fortune I never expected. For the first time in years, I thought life was about to get easier. Instead, I found my husband Daniel standing on the porch beside his mother, Patricia. In Patricia's hands were divorce papers. "The house is sold," she announced coldly. "You're homeless now." I stared at them, unable to process the words. "What?" "It's over, Claire," Daniel said, refusing to meet my eyes. 27 years of marriage reduced to a single sentence. The flower pots I had planted were gone. The porch swing Daniel once built was missing. Even the curtains had changed. Everything had already been prepared. This wasn't a sudden decision. It was a plan. Patricia stepped forward and held out the papers. "You should sign while things are still civil." Civil. The word almost made me laugh. Instead, I asked, "When were you planning to tell me?" Daniel sighed as if I were the problem. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." That was when I realized something. Neither of them knew about Eleanor's inheritance. They believed I was leaving with nothing. Patricia smiled smugly. "You've always been too trusting." The contempt in her voice revealed the truth. She wasn't heartbroken. She was pleased. For nearly 3 decades, Patricia had quietly poisoned my marriage. Every insult came disguised as advice. Every criticism wrapped itself in concern. Daniel always defended her. "She doesn't mean it that way." That became the theme of our entire marriage. As Patricia pushed the divorce papers toward me again, a memory surfaced. 3 months earlier, Eleanor had looked at me across her kitchen table and said, "Never let anyone rush you into signing papers." At the time, I thought she was being cautious. Now I understood she was warning me. A strange calm settled over me. Daniel proudly informed me that the house had already been sold. Patricia smirked. "You really should leave before the buyers arrive." Then I smiled. A real smile. Daniel frowned immediately. "What's so funny?" I looked at both of them and said softly, "Actually, the house you sold wasn't entirely yours." For the first time all afternoon, Patricia's confidence cracked. Before either of them could respond, a black SUV pulled into the driveway. 2 men stepped out. One introduced himself as Walter Bishop. The moment he saw me, he said, "Your grandmother spoke very highly of you." Daniel froze. Patricia went silent. Walter handed me an envelope. I recognized Eleanor's handwriting instantly. "For Claire, if Patricia finally gets her way." My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a letter. "Claire, if you're reading this, then I was right to worry." My heart stopped. Walter's attorney opened another folder. "Before anyone moves into this property," he said calmly, "we need to discuss the trust agreement attached to the house." Trust agreement? Daniel's face turned pale. Patricia looked confused. The attorney explained that years earlier, when Daniel's business nearly collapsed, Eleanor had secretly protected a portion of the property through a trust. The house had never fully belonged to Daniel. The sale they had rushed through was now in serious legal trouble. Patricia exploded. "What do you mean?" The attorney answered calmly. "It means ownership isn't as simple as you believed." For the first time, fear appeared in Patricia's eyes. Real fear. I continued reading Eleanor's letter. One sentence hit harder than anything else. "Daniel is not an evil man, but weak men become dangerous when stronger people do their thinking for them." I looked at Patricia. Then at Daniel. And suddenly, I saw my entire marriage clearly. Daniel wasn't cruel. He was weak. He spent years choosing comfort over honesty, silence over loyalty, and his mother's approval over his wife. Eleanor had seen it long before I did. As lawyers discussed trusts, ownership, and legal consequences, I realized something surprising. I wasn't angry anymore. I was free. The woman who thought she had lost everything that afternoon discovered she had actually escaped. Eleanor's greatest gift wasn't the money. It wasn't the estate. It was clarity. She protected me when I couldn't protect myself. That evening, as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, Patricia's confidence collapsed, Daniel's excuses ran out, and the future they had carefully planned began falling apart. Meanwhile, mine was finally beginning. For years, I believed love meant sacrifice. Eleanor taught me something better. Love without respect isn't love at all. And sometimes losing the wrong people is the first step toward finding peace.